I'm not going to carry gold tip at the moment because I've heard some rumor stuff that has me a little hesitant to order product. Yeah, I can't get into it, but indoor for score.
Indoor for score.
It's the best thing you can do.
We're back here again.
It is.
Indoor for score.
How's that gross? If you been at like the back end of a Walmart parking lot, there's nobody there.
Get out of your,
Yeah, but I'm gonna use I'm just gonna get close on your hands. There we go.
I know. I think I mean, what am I doing now? I'm trying to save Nashville for archery.
That's a good
literally
open right
that
there.
is. I mean, that's what it is. It's the most bizarre thing. I can't seem to stop having to figure out how to help. Okay, so which weird thing? You said get something weird, so I got you some different flavored seltzers, and then this one seems super weird yet festive.
Get it. Get that one. Michelob Ultra.
Lime pomegranate.
Lime pomegranate?
It doesn't. It just says infusions. Let me read this here. Yeah, lime prickly pear cactus. Excuse me. You said get something weird. I'm like, that looks weird.
It's so much weirder than I thought you would find at a gas station.
Oh, it was a grocery store.
Oh, you went upgraded.
Yeah, well, I needed some snacks.
Lime and
I'm here for
pear.
like 5 days in a hotel. I gotta have some snacks if I get hungry.
Dude, they got vending machine.
I know,
but you should just feed yourself that way.
The garbage that's in the vending machine, I give me some nuts and some pepperoni sticks.
Hey. Frickin' Nashville, Tennessee, Spokane Valley West, East. No, wait. What are you going to call this thing again?
Nashville North Archery.
Dun dun dun. Nashville North Archery.
And it's official for the most part. I have a key on me here somewhere.
You have a key to this place.
I have a key to this building. Yes.
And right now, the reason we're sitting so close together is because we're sitting between what I think this is probably going to go away, right? Look at that.
Well, we talked about that a couple different times. So originally we were going to say that was going to go away, but I thought about it, and I talked to Matt briefly and said, hey, because he's working for a cabinet guy at the moment, can he build like a case with glass in it, that wood with glass, and then put that in front of this?
Yep.
And that would be like your registers. Showcase. Yeah, and then have a register up there.
And then the thing to the right of us.
Each of these is going to be a workstation.
Which I'll do a little B-roll after we get done.
Yeah, and the idea of this is that each customer can sit in front of each bay, and then it segregates them from the store, so they're not sitting in front of the showroom.
Oh, dude, that's a good
idea.
So
I think I'm just going to leave it. I might even leave these ridiculously hideous light fixtures just because they're so hideous.
Bling, bling.
Oh, yeah,
I will
baby.
Definitely. I'll get some B-roll.
You better get some tights in that.
I will.
Oh, yeah, she's sexy. But I thought of a really cool idea for this. We were talking about putting a countertop on top of this countertop. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get plexiglass, cover the whole thing in plexiglass, and then put LED lights in the holes.
Will it be strong enough for you to mount the things to that you need to mount it to?
I'll put a board underneath it. No, it's like the LED signs, like a Hoyt sign, a Matthews sign, a PSE sign,
I believe
Easton sign.
It'll be cool.
They already sent them.
Oh, dude.
I call them. I tell each of them, you got a showroom here, you got a showroom here. Decorate the shit out of it. Send me a whole bunch of stuff. But I need 2 LED signs. I need one for in there and then one for under the counter.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. So because our counters typically at the other shop, we tried plexiglass over the top of them, and it worked really well for a long time. It gets beat up eventually. And
but who cares? Like if you're just trying to create like some sort of luminescent light thing, it doesn't matter if it gets scratched.
Yeah, all we're doing is covering up the hole. You're not really putting weight on it. Yeah, you can set a bow on it, but the press is back on the wood.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So there's not any real physical heavy weight on it at all.
This is going to be so legit. So
how do you think? What do you think of the prickly pear here?
Honestly, it's more legit than your archery shop.
It's the oh shit.
No, I'm saying your archery shop is legit, but this is really good.
This is surprisingly good. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be terrible.
You'd want to drink this in the summer on a boat. Not when it's 55 degrees in here right now because Josh literally just got the keys to this place today.
Probably an hour ago.
Dude. This is fresh, hot off the presses.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't even talk about what we were going to talk about in the pod.
No, why? It'll flow.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Do you want to talk about some of the brands that you've locked in for this? Do you want to talk about about plans?
Well, all of them, pretty much. I have Matthews, I have Hoyt, I have Bowtech, PSE, Elite, Prime.
Any of the accessory?
Everything. Anything you think of.
Okay, arrows.
All of them.
Is there anything that you felt like you'd
I'm
like that they're...
I'm not going to carry gold tip at the moment because I've heard some rumor stuff that has me a little hesitant to order product. Yeah, I can't get into it, but I don't know what the long-term status of that company is at the moment.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And you're going to get me in trouble.
Already.
Phone call.
That's the point.
Like, I just heard that.
That's
I heard
the point.
that.
Because you got a phone call after our last podcast from PSE.
Yeah,
so
I
our
did.
goal is every podcast, I want him to get one phone call from one major manufacturer in the industry.
We were just discussing stress levels, Brandon. Don't make it worse.
Okay, so basically what that means is in this area, you will be the largest shop right off the jump because you have more square footage than anybody else dedicated to archery, and you're going to carry more product than any of the other shops that are around, and in a huge radius.
Yeah, I have 200 Matthews bows on order. I have 100 Hoyt bows on order. I got to check with what the other ones are. My Victory order is still getting put in. My Easton order was like 75 grand, 100 grand out of the gate. Like
For frickin' arrows?
For arrows. Yeah. You don't screw around. I don't like the whole point of the whole model of how this works is you have all the product and you have it in stock all the time. And because I have an online store and an online portal, I can move that product if I need to, if it's not moving in here without too much of an issue. So for the most part, not, Matthews hunting bows or, Hoyt hunting bows. So don't like run that right into the internet saying Josh is shipping, high-end hunting bows. I'm not. But
he's going to give them to me and I'm going to ship them to people. I'm just kidding.
Christ.
I'm kidding. We're not doing that. I'm just kidding. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Like the weird thing, like shops are really sensitive in general to the success if I like show it. And then they get like, say I got a whole bunch of Matthews bows show up at one time, right? And then I take a video on it. And then my rep gets like 17 phone calls screaming, yelling, how come he's got this many and I don't, right? Because of the exposure. I literally, I was literally asked by 2 different sales reps, just, you can talk about it, just don't show it, please. Like, don't take a video of it. I thought about standing in front of the pallet full of bows and blurring it out behind me, but it was blatantly obvious it was a pallet full of bows.
These are Matthews bows.
Yeah,
You're going to make noise all over.
Oh, I like the noise. You don't want
No, it's going to be clicking. All the people listening are going to be driven nuts.
My bad.
It's
I should know better than that. I'm
you
fidgeting.
should. You've done this way more than I have.
I have. This is true. You're right.
Yeah. So, all right. How long is it going to take you to get this place kind of operational to the point where, I know it's not going to be done, but like how long is it going to be before you want people to actually be able to show up and come in here and get stuff?
Well, my hope was that people could almost immediately, and we've got a temporary permit being granted. Supposedly, we're supposed to get the information on Monday. I did a Zoom call with the city for like an hour while I was elk hunting. And there's a slight parking issue or something, but they're pretty confident they're gonna just sign off on it the way it is because we don't typically need that kind of parking. But if we have a solution if they demand what it is, but they should just sign off on it. But we were gonna have to wait for an actual occupancy for that. But it looks like they may grant me a temporary one so we can just start letting people in.
Dude, that's awesome.
Like this week, possibly.
Seriously.
Yeah, if it's temporary and they grant it right away. And then I got asked to go on their morning show or something or whatnot.
Well,
what was that?
It's like they have like a Chamber of Commerce podcast type thing that they do.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that? That's like some intern at the Chamber of Commerce is like, I hear podcasts are really big these days. Maybe we should do one of these.
Maybe the public will listen.
You're going to have a bunch of 95-year-old ladies that are going to come cruising here. They're going to be like, I heard that you're doing archery shop, and I wanted to see what this is all about. Do you have any bows that are a 10-pound draw?
I'm sure I got something.
And you're going to be like, absolutely, ma'am. Come right this way.
You bet. I got you covered.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. I'm going to change subjects a bit here because you're going to carry obviously a lot of stuff. So people are going to just come in and they're going to like figure stuff out.
Yeah.
I feel like I have wasted a ton of time over my archery career learning how to do things and doing testing on things that were such small minutia that I literally just wasted all that time, and I would have been better off had I just gone outside and started shooting.
Yeah.
So like
the Dudley model.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I've learned the things, but like I think about tack vanes versus AAE Max Stealth versus DCA versus Blazers versus, like, if I would have just been like, this arrow comes with Blazers and I'm going to go outside and I'm going to shoot it a bunch, I would be so much further ahead as far as my mental state. I'm thinking about this because of the buck that came in that I shot last week. I was losing my shit again, and I thought I had that under control. And the whole point of this conversation that I want to have is, are there things that you feel like people focus on and get lost in that you wish that they would just like, hey, this is really great. Like, any of these 5 arrows are fantastic. Just pick one, get it, cut them, go rock and roll. Or like, any of these bows are amazing. Just get it fit to you, go out and rock and roll. Like, have you think about that at all?
There's 2 schools of thought to that, and I get what you're getting at and why. Ideally, in a perfect world, you spend your time practicing. But here's the reality of the tinker, right? When you're tinkering, you're shooting your bow. If you weren't tinkering, would you still be shooting your bow?
I guess that's valid. Like,
it's an excuse to shoot your bow.
Yeah.
Or a reason for it. So it just depends on what your real motivation is. Are you using the time that you should be spending with legit practice tinkering, or are you shooting more because you're tinkering?
Or am I legitimately shooting less because I'm tinkering? Yeah. And for me, like doing video stuff, there was many days where I was like, I'm going to shoot, and then I decided to do a video about shooting, and I wouldn't shoot. But, like, would I be 5% better? Would I be 2% better? 1% better? I don't know.
I think you'd definitely be better if you were just practicing as opposed to, playing with your stuff. But there's also a level of, focus that's required when you're tinkering on, like, I'm going to try these 3 different veins and I want to see what their group difference is, and I need to shoot as good as I can in this process. Whereas people that will go out and just like shoot their bow in the backyard for fun, they a lot of times don't take it very serious.
Ooh,
so you might
really
actually be doing more legit good practice because you're tinkering and because you're being analytical and because you're really focusing on the outcome. That could be, but everyone has to kind of gauge themselves on what are they doing. Like, are you the kind of person that's only really going to buckle down if you're trying to prove something, or are you the kind of person that's going to buckle down because that's what you need to do to get good?
Do you have? Okay, that's actually, I can literally remember like going out to 100 yards and being like, these, I really have to focus on this shot because I'm testing these veins together, or I'm testing these broadheads, or I'm testing these, these arrows. So that super like hit home when you said that. That's interesting. Do you have a practice regimen, or have you heard of a practice regimen that kind of forces some of that like intentionality?
Oh, to focus? You mean like trying to push the pressure?
I apologize. Well, yeah, no, not even necessarily pushing the pressure. Like, I'm not talking about like elk shape stuff necessarily.
Okay.
I'm talking about, it's very easy to go shoot 30 arrows and shoot a softball size group at 20 yards and go inside and be like, yeah, I did a thing. You're like, no, you didn't. Like, intentional practice where you care about every single arrow that goes down range.
Yeah, indoor for score.
Indoor for score.
It's the best thing you can do.
We're back here again.
It is.
Indoor for score.
It is, because you can't miss a point. That's the whole point. Like, every arrow you fire has to be good and in the middle.
Indoor for score.
Has to. Yeah. It's the most disciplined practice required, and it eliminates everything but you. So if you want to get better, shoot indoor for score.
Indoor for score.
And like, you can do a warm up and then shoot a scoring round. Always shoot a scoring round. Always have it count. If it doesn't count, you discount your failures and flaws, right? So you'll make a bad shot and you'll go, oh, that was just this. Meh. Your brain just dismisses it and pushes it off. It's just like a lack of accountability, right? It's the same thing. It's just in archery. If you have to count every arrow and you track every arrow and you screw up one and you're done, it's over with, right? You're not going to shoot a perfect round. If that's your mindset and your mantra, it's forcing you to focus on every arrow. It's forcing you to buckle down. It's forcing you to input pressure into the system. Because at the end of the day, and Dan talks about this a lot on elk shape, is your heart rate's going to be up when you're trying to kill that animal. It's not like shooting a piece of foam. It's like you have to apply some pressure to yourself. And how do you do that? How do you best do that? Some people will like to bet a beer on it with their buddy for score or something like that. Some people put money on it. Some people will try to shoot a perfect scoring round. And the easiest way to do it, because you can do it by yourself, is a perfect scoring round. It's like, I'm going to try to shoot my highest score of Vegas. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, but if you're like, all right, my best score is a 293. When you get to N7 and you know you're averaging better than a 293, you're going to shit the bed.
Dude.
If you don't focus.
Every single time I get there.
It is, and that's pressure. And you can shoot a damn near perfect round if you're not keeping score. I mean, it looks like you're hitting the middle almost every time if you're not keeping score. You start keeping score, and all of a sudden you realize you're not hitting the middle all the time.
Which leads me to what I really wanted to talk about, which is the Matthews Title 34 and 36.
Yeah. What about them?
So I was looking at some of the specs online because you're able to ship target bows, right?
100%. Yep.
So you could ship the Title 34?
Yeah, I can ship the titles. I can ship the Hoyt Concepts. I can ship the PSCs, all their target bows, and Dartons. I can actually ship Darton's hunting bows. Actually, Darton will let you ship anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're kind of, some of them are loosening up. The big dogs aren't, but they're all loosening up on target bows, and they're loosening up on target bows for any shops that are listening because you don't stock them. Nobody stocks them, and everybody's got to wait 8 weeks for them.
Oh, interesting.
So, well, that's how the accessory thing started, right? Because this all started for me selling accessories, selling Hoyt accessories or selling Matthews accessories. Technically, it started with Matthews accessories because they weren't getting the support that they were looking for from shops, right? Matthews sells a bow, and they would really like it if that bow got sold with a Matthews rest and a Matthews stabilizer and a Matthews quiver, and a Matthews sight now, right? All Matthews all the time, right? That's their long-term hope because there's more money in it. We were doing the math on it. Tim and I were talking about it like a week or two ago on the Matthews launch, and if you fully dress a lift 33X with everything Matthews, including their new sight, it was like $3,000.
Well, it's also because their freaking stabilizers are insanely expensive.
The sight's $700, Brandon.
I know the sight's
That's way more expensive than stabilizers.
Everybody knows that, but when you put two bars
and a V-bar bracket, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
I know. It's super expensive.
Is this your air conditioner? Is there a helicopter?
That's a helicopter.
Coming to get us.
Well, they probably think we're like broke in here because this building's been empty for so long.
That's true. This was a wedding venue previously, by the way.
Yeah.
Josh was actually trying to decide, do I want to open a wedding venue or another archery shop? He didn't know.
I said, screw it. I just liked the building. I said, screw it. Let's just do an archery shop.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Fair enough. All right. So let me ask you a question going back to the Title 34 and 36 specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that those would be like a decent hunting bow?
Oh, yeah. Michael hunted with a 36 this last year.
Dude, I'm so curious about that for me.
So here's the negative, all right? Because I don't know if you watched the review I did on a 34, but I did test and review a 34, and it was 10 feet a second slower than a lift 33X.
Okay.
So you're giving up 10 feet, and basically the same specs. That's the problem. Like it's a 34-inch bow versus a 33-inch bow, and it's a 6 and change brace height. And they're both 6 and change brace heights. And the Title 34 is a little heavier. It's the wider limb set and the forward limb slope that you're getting. So it's a little shorter riser, a little more forward pronunciation when you fire the bow. And most target archers would tell you that makes a bow point a little better. And that's the whole point of it. But it's slower. So I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not.
Yeah, 10 feet per second, though. 10 feet per second for me may be a thing I'd be willing to give away, but maybe the 34 wouldn't be the jam then. Maybe it would be the 36.
I didn't test the 36 this year. I'm going to. The 34 was a new riser. The 40 was a new riser, so I wanted to get those out as quick as possible. I don't know if the 36 has the same speed variance. I bet it does, though.
It would make sense that it would, because they're not going to focus on that as much.
Yeah, one, you can't get it heavier than 70. So if you wanted like 75 or 80, you can't do that.
No, because I mean, I'm thinking. Well, I don't know what I'm thinking. I am thinking that the Michelob Ultra Infusions Lime and Prickly Pear Cactus is making both of us rather burpy.
Yes, I was just going to say this is like super burpy.
So
this is not a good choice.
Just these weird like things happening in the background. I apologize. By the way, like and subscribe. If you, I'm terrible about making videos these days because my curiosity for archery has gone down. In the context of like, I still feel like I have a fairly thorough understanding of a lot of things lately, and I don't know how to make videos about like just my normal journey of like archery things now. Mm-hmm. And so I find myself just being like, well, I'm going to go outside and shoot arrows now because I really love doing that, and that's such a nice thing. Or I'm going to go like sit in the stand hunting, and I'm not going to review a bunch of products because I know I'm not going to order that thing because I know I'm not going to like it as much as the thing that I own. It's just a weird, I don't know. It's just been
You're in a weird place?
Well, I'm in a bit of a weird place. And plus, with having the kid, the amount of time that I have to spend doing it is like so much more precious.
Yes.
That I hated morning hunting. Like, I detested morning hunting. And I literally be willing to sit 3 days to 1 in the evening, knowing as far as like the amount of deer that I would see, because I always see way more deer in the morning when I hunt. But I was like, I don't care. I'm not getting up at 5. Yeah. I'll just hunt more evening days. No, not this year. This year it's been in the mornings, getting up, getting your ass in the stand. Like, that's what it's been. The other severe inconvenience is the coffee maker that I've been using takes an hour to brew coffee because our water is so hard, full of limestone, that literally it's been taking an hour. So I've been getting up at 4 to start the coffee maker. Then I go lay in bed. Then I read Twitter. This is the content that people wanted. This is the content that people wanted right here.
You poor man. Well, I shouldn't feel too bad for you. I got up at 2 this morning to get.
Did you really?
Yeah. Like my flight leaves at 5 in the morning.
How often are you going to come back and forth, you think? Like what's
monthly?
You're going to come back once a month?
I think I'm going to come back for once a month for a week, depending on how it goes for a while.
Are you going to announce when you're here? Like, are you going to let people know so they can come into the shop?
I'm going to put it on Instagram. I didn't put this trip on Instagram because there's nothing up yet, and I didn't want a whole bunch of people to show up to an empty building.
Well, also, like, there is still a risk with the parking thing. If you have 50 people show up, you're going to just piss off everybody all of a sudden.
Yeah, once again, if anybody's listening to this that, comes and you see the parking lot full, just go park in Walmart's parking lot and come across the street. Walmart's parking lot's huge.
There's a shoe store across the way, the Shoe Show. And I was thinking about the Shoe Show. I was thinking that we should call this podcast the Shoe Show, but then it would just be confusing to everyone. But yeah, that's a nice parking lot. You could park at the Shoe Show as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's curve
the old Hampton
it back.
Inn doesn't have a giant parking lot over there. It's not very big.
Yeah. No, and you don't. Walmart's not going to care.
Walmart lets you camp in their parking lot as long as it's just for one night.
Especially in like San Francisco and those types of places.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, come on down.
Absolutely.
Dye your hair blue.
No, that's a real common
Camp
thing for people that RV.
Yeah.
They'll stay at a Walmart.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because it's free.
Yeah, but gross.
How's that gross? If you've been at like the back end of a Walmart parking lot, there's nobody there.
Get out of your RV in the morning if you're in like a nice campsite and you see some other like very wealthy people in $1 million Prevost. You get out at the Walmart and you see the people of Walmart.
Of course, Prevost $1 million.
That's from the tour bus days.
I was gonna say that guy's definitely got a $35,000 watch.
Not yet, I don't. I'm still cruising around with my cheapo, my poor cheapo. I have been looking though. That's another thing that's kind of interesting about the way I do hobbies is I do hobbies all the same. I go so hard at the beginning, it's crazy. I freaking obsess about it. We were at Thanksgiving, and I'm scrolling watches at Thanksgiving, and my brother-in-law looks over at me and he goes, "Just buy one so you stop doing this." And I was like, no, that's not how the game works. And it was the same with archery. In the beginning, I was freaking obsessed. Like when I did that video where I bought all the 5 bows, I'd been shooting for a while. I just hadn't been super bit by the bug. Yeah. But when the freaking bug bites, damn, it bites hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are super fired up about archery this year, comment down below what got you super fired up. Like, what's the thing? Did you have a monster buck like walk in your yard and you just thought, if I had a bow, I could make this happen? Or did you have a buddy that got into it? Like, comment down below what got you into archery? Like, what was the bug that bit you? And speaking of that, I know you've been working in a shop your whole life, but like you still seem super passionate about it.
Yeah.
What was the bug that bit you?
My dad made me, pretty much. I mean, that's not accurate. I wanted to be with my dad. Period. I wanted to spend time with my dad. And it became very apparent at a very young age that the only way you were spending time with dad is if you did what dad wanted to do. Because dad would go hunting, he'd go like rock chuck shooting, he'd go fly fishing, and he was always just doing what he wanted to do. Like if he showed up at one of your sports, it was a miracle.
Wow.
Like he did what he wanted to do. And I was frequently working on stuff because if he was working on something, you were able to spend time with dad if you worked with him. So that's originally, I think, what got me more than anything was I just wanted to spend time with my dad, and that's what he liked. And then I was good at it. Like I started shooting it, and I'm like, I'm pretty good at this. This is kind of fun. I like it. I understood there's only a few things in life that you'll do that will completely clear your mind. Like if you actually try to sit down and shoot a bow and focus on it, all the thoughts leave your head. And for someone who runs 1,000,000 miles an hour and has ADHD like myself, who just constantly go, and there's always thoughts creeping in, it was the thing I found that would make my mind stop and just focus on that one thing. So it was calming, it was soothing, it was relaxing. The zen of archery is a real thing.
Oh, dude,
it's such a mental commitment that you have to dump everything else out of your brain. And so that really got me at first. There were times where I was almost quit. There was times while I was still young that I didn't want to go, and my dad made me go. There were times that it went from something I wanted to do to something I felt like I had to do, and started to not want to. And they always have that rebellious phase in your life, right? I think my senior year in high school, I got sent home from work for a week for being insubordinate or something like that, and I was on the edge of just questioning if this is really what I want to do. There were other things that were happening in my life, and I was thinking about going a different direction. And then
ballerina. Josh was going to be a ballerina.
No, music.
Oh, was it really?
I was into music. Yeah. But yeah, I got talked into it, and then I stayed with it, and I got really good at it. And I have a mechanical mind, and the neat thing about archery is there was almost always something new every year. So you had to kind of relearn something. How does this tuning system work? How's that tuning system work? Which is why I communicate the way I communicate. It's why I come across the way I come across, because I had an infatuation with trying to understand how they worked.
Yeah.
Because you'd call the manufacturer and try to describe what's going wrong, right? And I got to a point, I think I was like 14 or 15, when I'd call them and say, hey, I'm getting this. What do I do? What's wrong? Right? That there was no longer a solution being given that I didn't already have. And they'd start giving you well, how does it shoot? How does it group? Mm-hmm. Does it group good? Well, then don't worry about it, right? That kind of thing, right? And that drove me batshit crazy. I was like, no, that is not an acceptable answer. I need to understand what's causing it. I need to see a cause and effect. And because of that, I was very fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you want to look at it. Once I graduated high school, almost every friend I have moved away. So I didn't have anybody to hang out with hardly. And I lived 6 blocks from the Outdoor Sportsman in downtown Spokane. So I lived in a literally shitty one-bedroom apartment in a bad part of town, and was making enough money to live, and that's about it. But I could go into the Outdoor Sportsman whenever I wanted. So I spent it. They closed at like 7, and I was there till 11, 12, 1 sometimes. And I could shoot like 45 yards inside. I could go crank. Wow. I could go turn the music on upstairs and just blare whatever you wanted over there. And I had my little workshop in the back, because back then we had the mindset that the customer shouldn't see you working on the bow. Like it should be hidden in the back, so they don't understand what you're doing.
Oh,
because that was and this is a mindset I think that's still really prevalent today. Like people are afraid to show the customer what you're doing, because then they're like, well, then we don't need him.
You're right.
Right.
That makes total sense.
They're trying to keep the business, right? Yep. And that's the wrong mindset to have, by the way. And there's about 100 reasons as to why, but I understand it because I was there once too. I was like, oh, if they see what I'm doing, then they're just going to do it themselves. And it doesn't actually work that way. I've evolved from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum over my life when it comes to archery and the philosophy and the margin and the visuals and whatnot, right? Just because of my experience and no longer being afraid. Because at a certain point, I realized they're always going to need me. If I'm doing a good job, they're always going to need me. And if they never need me again, I'm probably not doing a good job. I'm not learning enough. I'm not evolving enough. I'm not getting better at this enough to not be necessary anymore, right? They're always going to need you. And the guys that are going to do it themselves are frequently going to screw their bow up, and you're going to have to fix it for them anyway. And as long as you're charging for labor, which if you're a shop and you're not charging for labor, you're an idiot. Like, this is a service industry. Every industry that provides a service charges for it. You need to charge labor. But the long drive of wanting to tinker and play, and I'd literally cause and effect. Like I'd go in and say, all right, I'm going to twist this cable half a turn and then go shoot it and see what happens. I'm going to twist this one the opposite direction of that one. What happens? I'm going to adjust the timing until I get a different flight out of it. And literally with every different type of cam system. And that was when Single cam was really popular. Dual cam was still kind of around, and hybrids hadn't quite came out yet. And so there was always this evolution of change that each one functioned differently, and you had to play with them to figure it out because they're not telling you either. Like one dude in the back knows, nobody else does. Like at the time. Now, a lot of them will understand how their cam system works, understand the tuning and the idiosyncrasies of it, but I just wanted to understand each one. And every time the new ones came out, I was super excited, and naturally it evolved into me making videos about the new products. But because like, what's different? How is it different? And there was legit evolution, right? Like from the 90s to 2015, the evolution of the bow is insane. Like insane. Now from 2015 to now, not so much.
Right.
There's improvements. Don't get me wrong, but it's like the improvements were big every year, like this far apart, and now they're like that far apart. Right. This one's a little better than that one. Right. But not drastic. So it was funner. It was more exciting, and it was a lot easier to explain to somebody why a new bow was worth it. Nowadays, it's getting hard. Like they keep improving smaller and smaller and smaller, right?
I was just about to ask.
There you go. I picked it up and it was empty.
Hit me with another Lyman prickly pear cactus.
It's good.
No, it's actually
like shockingly good. I thought it was going to taste like ass.
No, in the summer, I guess it depends on what she showered with. In the summer, we will buy this again and we'll go out on the pontoon boat.
There you go. There's definitely a soap that probably tastes like that.
Oh, 1,000,000% Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's some misplaced perfume. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, just that long drive of evolution of wanting to understand it. And I get concerned. I really do in the next 10 years. It's like, what are you going to do? Like, really? Like, what are you going to do?
Well, there's new people that get into it, but then there's also people that aren't buying bows every year. And like, we talked about that. Are you gonna skip a year? Are you gonna skip 2 years so that you can actually feel some of those gains again?
It's 5.
5 years? You think it's worth?
That's the standard. Like if you look at the industry
like
standard is a guy buys a bow every 5 years,
right?
And that's an evolution of change that's noticeable. Like let's think about it now. We're at Lift X, right? What was Matthews 5 years ago?
It was Lift, and then it was
before Lift. It was I used to rattle these off super fast. Yeah,
V3X,
then V3. Then
VXR?
You forgot the Phase 4 in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, you'd be back to a V3. You'd be back to a 31-inch axle-to-axle bow with a sub-7 brace with, it's similar speed, way heavier, quite a bit more vibration.
Yep. Didn't have the bridge lock.
No bridge locks, no integration, no rubber limb sets, no dovetails. I mean, there's a lot of change over 5 years.
There's going to be a lot of comments below with people that are like, no, there's not. I mean, the lightness factor is a big deal. The bridge lock may be a little bit of a gimmick. Like, I'm not going to say it's a total gimmick, but I will say the split limb when they did it on the Phase 4 and then the Lift and then the Lift X. Like vibration dampening, that was a big deal. Quieter.
It is massively noticeable. Now that I've got like the tools that I've got, the testing that I've got, it's crazy noticeable. Like I'm standing there firing it for the decibel meter, and I can hear it.
Okay.
Like I can absolutely physically hear this bow's quieter.
Okay.
Like it's nuts.
So I mean,
now that I'm paying attention to just that,
and you're shooting them back to back.
Yeah.
So you can actually legitimately go, man, this is a big deal.
Big difference. Not only can I go, this absolutely is noticeable. My tool shows it's noticeable too.
Right.
Which is cool because sometimes you'll be like, I didn't feel what that said.
Yeah.
At all, and no, it's absolutely noticeable.
Okay, so every 5 years. Yeah. That's interesting. And I was an every year bow guy because I still felt like, I think I was just excited.
You'll still be an every year bow guy.
Yeah, that's exciting. Thanks. I'm coming in here and I'm going to let these guys that are back here behind this beautiful buffet, which that's what's to the right of us. This was the old buffet. Mm-hmm. What you can't see is there's still a menu that's up on the chalkboard up above this thing.
I'm leaving that.
You should.
I'm absolutely.
You literally should. You should take some lacquer or something like that and just like lacquer it in. Yeah. That'd be really funny. Yeah. Put your name down there and the date.
Yeah.
Because it'll be good memories.
And seal it up.
Yeah. I like that. Because that'll be one of those things like 20 years from now, if this shop is like a staple, like there will be kids who are born now this year. Like my freaking kid. Mm-hmm. He will never know Nashville without this shop. Yes. Which I'm so stoked about that. Like I'm so excited to bring him in here. and have him climb up the fake tree that we're going to put in the middle, and have him try to dance under the disco ball lights that we're going to put him. Yeah,
that's gonna that part's gonna be so cool. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, the shop is going to be legit. Like even just the natural, the way the space was laid out. It was so easy to come into this place and be like here and here and here and here and here. Like when you said the front area is going to have like a Matthews section to the right of the door and the Hoyt section to the left of the door, and they're like their own little compartment things. I mean, it's going to be that's going to be so legit.
Yeah, it was weird. Like I was telling you this whole time when I first came down here, when I called you first about this before I ever came down here. It was like my entire life, almost everything that's ever happened to me or every decision I've ever made just kind of fell in front of me. And I just went, okay, I'll try that. Like there is nothing more complicated or scientific to it than that. And that's embarrassing, but that's real. Like almost like every employee I've ever had walked into the shop or was related to somebody who worked there. Everyone walked in that I've hired.
Okay.
When my dad was hiring employees, he did it a different way, but it was just somebody who came in there or somebody that was related or knew them. And it's like, hey, so-and-so is looking for a job. Okay, bring them down. I'd prefer you have no experience whatsoever.
Seriously?
Oh, yes.
Speaking of which,
I don't have to unlearn nothing.
Josh is hiring for the Nashville location, Nashville North Archery, Highway 12, Ashland City.
Yeah. It's 20 minutes of downtown Nashville.
That's right. No experience needed, evidently.
Okay. Well, so what I've found over time, and I don't know how true that'll be here. I just know it from at home in Spokane that when people know what they're doing, they got to unlearn three quarters of what they know, because they're usually doing it differently than you want it done. And if you own the place, you want it done a certain way.
Yeah, you do, because you want to know what what the progression is that they're doing it in, and then you also want to know how long it takes them to do each of those things, so that you can charge for it properly. You probably have a quicker way of problem solving to fix things. It makes total sense. Yeah. It makes total sense why you may tolerate somebody who would start from zero.
Well, on any given bow, there's about 4 different ways to make the same reaction, right? So if you've got a point right tear, there's about 4 different things you can do to eliminate that.
You just move your rest. That's all you do.
Okay, Cabela's.
You just move your wrist.
Oh, where's that Bass Pro? Do I say Bass Pro down here? Is it Bass Pro down here? Because it's Cabela's at home.
It's Bass Pro.
It's Bass Pro. Okay, Bass Pro. Yeah, you keep that up. It's there's a right way and a wrong way to do that, and so if you're listening and you know Brandon and you're from the area, you know Matt Eddy, and that's who's running this store when I'm not here. And I grilled him a little bit the first night I talked to him. I was like, well, what do you do here? What do you do there? 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 What do you do when this happens? I'm like, okay, I'm good with you.
Strong, good understanding.
Yeah, he got it. He was doing the same things I would do. So I was like, all right, cool. I don't have to worry about, okay, we're going to have butt heads on, you got to do this differently.
He's one of those guys who has people drop their bow off and say, I don't want anyone touching my bow except Matt.
Yeah.
So I was curious how that was going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good with that. Okay. I have no problem with that.
No, I'm saying from the perspective of you making sure that he was doing things the way you wanted him to do them.
Yes.
But it sounds like he is, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll find something that we disagree on. That's fine. I don't mind that. But I'm also a big advocate for the most part, just putting people in their roles and letting them do their jobs and staying out of their way. Which I will try to do.
But will you? Okay, so we're going to get into a little bit of the nitty gritty on how to actually run a shop, a little bit, because I'm just curious. I don't really know. Well, that's what I'm curious about. As a fellow small business owner, what I have found is that the people that we hire that do the best, they have natural proclivities, and if we allow them to exist in those natural proclivities. It's great because there's a foundation of just like whatever. If they're a detailed-oriented person and we're having them in a task that's detailed-oriented, they're great. Right. But if we take a person who's super detail-oriented and we try to put them in a sales role, it's a shit show.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If we take a salesperson and put them in a role, okay, so, but you're saying that overall, you've never really hired somebody who didn't just like show up to the shop. I would call that a proximity hire.
No, I've hired people that just showed up at the shop, but not that like I hired them away from somebody else or that kind of thing. That's rare.
You're not trying to poach.
No.
except
No,
for
it's
like
not
Matt
too.
Eddy.
Well, Matt quit. So
I'm kidding.
There's
so
that.
There, just to create some clarity on that one, because there are a lot of people in the Southeast that'll know that.
Yeah.
Matt quit Archery Den well before Josh started having the conversation with him. He did not come in and take Matt from the Archery Den.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew some of what was going on, but that's about it. I didn't take Matt. He quit.
These are
He
spicy
authentically
takes.
quit and was done.
Spicy takes, everybody.
Yeah, he couldn't take it anymore. And well, we don't need to talk about it.
We're not going to. I'm trying to move us away. You keep saying more shit.
I'm sorry. Oh man. But,
okay. All right. So going back to small business, I'm curious, what type of person are you looking for that would work here? Like
someone who has an authentic desire to learn and understand archery.
Okay. And that's going to show up on time.
And that has a real work ethic.
Yep.
And is responsible and shows up on time. So my other store, and when we get this fully rolling, we'll probably do the same thing. I haven't talked to Matt about it yet to make sure we agree on the right path. But my preferred method when I'm hiring somebody new is you work in the online store for 6 months and you pull orders, and that's all you do.
That sounds horrible.
Exactly. That's the point.
Okay. Right. Because you're saying you're going to prove yourself.
You're going to prove that you have a work ethic. You're going to show up to work on time. You're going to show up every day, and that you really want a job. And that and through that whole process, it's kind of like, remember the Karate Kid?
Oh, absolutely.
Miyagi teaching him wax on, wax off, paint the fence, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
So what they're getting is reps and understanding the product, right? So when you're pulling orders, you have to understand, okay, what is a Fast Eddy XL double pin 10,000s right-handed, dovetail with a light?
And why is this person not just buying the new Matthews UltraView sight and they're buying a Spot Hog Fast Eddy XL with?
Because they don't want to spend $700. But no, that's the whole point of it. There's so many little idiosyncrasies in everything that by pulling orders, you have to learn those things, and you see them. You learn how to visibly identify them, and then you also know where they're located. So you know in the warehouse where they're located, and in the pro shop. Because if you run out in the warehouse and we have some in the pro shop, you go in the pro shop and take it.
You also know how popular those items are, or not popular.
Yeah, you know what's selling and what's not.
Because when customers come in, you can you have a frame of reference to say like,
we sell a ton of these, not so many of those.
That's exactly right, and that's actually really important. Because if I go into a restaurant and the waitress says, "The Bam Bam shrimp is freaking amazing here,"
right? Which you did, and it was,
and it was, and I did
you
have
weren't going to
diarrhea.
slip up the juice, but you did.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so that job before we had an online store, that was an arrow fletcher. When you started, you fletched arrows. Oh, exactly. You sit there and fletch arrows.
Yeah,
every day.
Okay, but the more vital role,
not 6 months worth of it, but 3.
Right.
Like if you are not still sitting there fletching arrows and being productive and working hard in 3 months, you're going to quit working hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want you.
Okay.
I want people who want to work. I don't want people who just want a paycheck.
Dude, I feel like, so we're really close to the military base that's up in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of those guys who are probably looking for something when they get out. Mm-hmm. I'm burping again. I apologize. And something like this would be perfect for them.
Exactly. And it's only 45 minutes away?
I think it's less than that. I think you come straight down Highway 12.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about that. But it's a kick-ass drive. Like, it's a super nice drive straight here. And to transition from something like a military role into something where you're learning, essentially it's a trade, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like learning how to work on a bow, learning even the inventory system stuff. Mm-hmm. Like learning how to work inside of a retail shop like that. I don't know. Dude, I would totally do it. If I was 22 years old, 23, 24, 25, this would have been on my radar.
It's a fun job. It really is. But the whole point of it is it better be fun, right? This is supposed to be fun. This is a hobby that people choose to do that isn't mandatory, right? It's not like plumbing. It's not like electrical. It's not like framing. Like those things have to happen. You don't have to shoot a bow. It's a choice, right?
Yeah.
And it's all a fun hobby. So your work environment should be fun, period. And I worked in an environment that was not fun for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was bound and determined, like the day I bought my dad out, I decided we're going to have a good time. If it costs me every penny I have, so fucking be it. I'm going to have a good time. Because I do not want to come to work and not be excited to be here. That's just stupid. And we've had employees over the years that are like, yeah, you just don't want to be here. Like, you can tell. Like, when you come in, you're all mopey, you're me. It's like, all right, well, this isn't what you want to do, and you're not happy. So go be happy.
By the way, that's a choice.
That is.
It's 1,000%. You don't like, dude, I was a bellman at a hotel, and I every day decided to show up and be in a good mood. And there were people who decided to show up and be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And then I was a salesman, a leasing agent at a real estate or at an apartment complex while I was in college. And every day I would show up and somebody would walk in the door and I would be as excited as if I had it was like my mom I hadn't seen in 10 years. Because I wanted the sale.
Yeah.
But it was a freaking decision. So that's interesting to me when people I'll go through the drive-through sometimes at places, and you just get this oh, you hate me and you wish I wasn't here right now.
Yeah, 100%.
But then you get the people that are really, really caring, even at a drive-through window, and I say the same thing every time. Mm-hmm. You did an amazing job. You should go do this in a place where you can make way more money.
Yes.
And they always say the same thing. Absolutely, I'm going to. And I know they're going to.
Good deal.
Yeah. That sounds like I'm just trying to I don't know, I'm trying to encourage them.
Well, that's very true though.
But they're doing a job to me that they're underpaid for given that level of customer service. Yep. So I just want them to know that. I don't want to sound like I'm being shitty to people because I'm not. And I'm not looking down on them because that's where they are. But I'm letting them know that you should be getting paid for this really good customer service that you're providing.
Right.
That's more my thought.
Oh, 100%.
All right, let me ask you a thing.
Yeah.
I want to change the subject a little bit because
Okay.
I have.
Before you change the subject, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
That's actually a life thing that I learned when I was 19, and I've never let go of it. A guy who used to work for me pointed out to me that I was cranky a lot.
Oh.
And he goes, I'm going to tell you something that I learned a long time ago, and I hope you listen. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. You have a choice whether today's going to be a good day or a bad day, and nobody makes that choice but you. You cannot control what life gives you. You can only control what you choose to do with it. And it's like a light went on in my head, and I was a different person from that day forward. Because you're choosing to be miserable.
It clicked with me when I read a story about a group of gentlemen that basically were being tortured to death. This is going to get dark AF.
Ooh.
And they decided they were basically being starved to death. And it was a group of men that were just basically locked in a cage, and they said, we're now going to allow you to die. And the men sang every day until they dehydrated and died. And they decided to sing. And it was a guard who had written the story of the men who basically died singing. So the personal choice to be I hate my job. Dude, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Yeah, and just the realization that you are basically the thing you can control is your attitude toward whatever situation you're in.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that.
100%.
Okay, can I change the subject?
Changed. Sorry.
Okay. Josh Bomar.
Joshy,
your namesake, just came. People confuse the two of you because I confuse.
Please
the
tell
two
me
of you.
they don't.
He looks.
Please tell me they
you
don't.
guys are so.
He's
Your
jacked
physique,
as shit.
Your physiques are so similar. I'm kidding.
That's not even remotely close. Oh my God.
All right, so
I look just like Josh Bomar if he never worked out.
and he had a crazy ass haircut.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, totally.
Might have to.
All right. He just came out with Beast version 2. Did you see this?
The titanium?
T5 titanium. Mm-hmm. So because I've been doing research into watches, I've learned about various grades of titanium. T2 is easier to work with titanium, and level 5 is a really hard version of titanium to work on. It's very hard. The tools that you have to have are very specific, and it's more expensive to mess with.
I'm very aware.
What do you think?
I'm excited. The negative about titanium, which there's not very many, but the negative about titanium is it's going to be a tiny bit easier to break. It's harder to bend. It's easier to break. As the material gets harder, the bending fluctuation's less. And the way they cut their broadhead and the amount of center mass that it has isn't a ton.
So you're talking about ferrule length and then how much they have cut out of the center of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem with putting a blade in the middle of your broadhead is you took the mass of the center of the broadhead out.
Right, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're way more likely to break. Now, the hope was that titanium would eliminate that from the aluminum, which he's been playing with those for over a year. And I'm super optimistic. It would be great. I'd love to see it work and not have failures. But the taking the center mass out of a broadhead is tricky. It really is. And he's got a lot out of his whole, not just your blades, but your spring system, the ball and whatnot. You're hogging out a lot of the middle of that broadhead. So,
right.
I I like the way that broadhead works. I love the way that broadhead flies. It flies really good. And I'm glad that he made it out of titanium. I wish it wasn't $40 a broadhead.
They are so expensive. But you know what, though? Like,
get what you pay for. An iron will is $40 a broadhead, but
exactly.
But do you look at those two things and go, is one of these the same quality as the other? That'd be interesting to like hold them and play with them and look at them and be like, do these look like they're the same quality product?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really tough call because
have you shot beasts much?
I've shot yes, not much, but yes, but not much.
You shot them in animals?
No.
Okay.
So that's why I'm withholding my opinion, but the reason I'm not is because I don't want to shoot a 2-blade mechanical.
Yeah.
I want to shoot a 3-blade mechanical because here's why. I shot Sever for quite a while, and I am 98% sure that I've lost 2 deer because of the angle of impact, which sounds so crazy, and people are going to get on me in the comments, and I know it. You can. It's fine. But I'm right and you're wrong. I'm literally like, no, I want 3 blades because at any angle that thing hits, I'm getting the same amount of basically coverage, which is why I want the 3-blade or a 4-blade. So I'll either use I've been kind of leaning on the Grim Reapers the last couple of years when I'm shooting mechanicals.
Great broadheads.
I
use a ton of them.
Yeah.
I've had really good luck with them. I'm more intrigued by the hybrid concept.
Okay.
Like it's a kind of fixed blade broadhead, but not a big blade.
Yeah.
And then
to create that initial cut.
Yeah. So there's an initial cut with an initial drag entry and an initial angle, right? That not shoving through resistance with something dull, and then followed up by a good mechanical blade. I've actually got a design in my head. I might actually have them make.
Do it.
Well,
are you running
there's a problem.
Are you getting the worst of both worlds with that? Like, are you still getting a broadhead that's kind of difficult to get tuned?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not the way I would make it.
Okay.
I don't think. Now, I will say like that. I've never had something fly as good as the Beast ever, and neither has Bodie, and neither has Joel. Like they preach it. Like nothing flies as good as
the
this.
Sever flies is good. The Thorn,
No, it does not.
The Thorn.
No, it does not.
The Thorn flies is good.
No, it does not.
Because of the length of the ferrule?
It's simply because of the drop coefficient, right? So when I'll get out to 150 and 160, I'm only losing like 3 yards with the Beast. I'm losing like 10 with anything else.
That makes sense because the Sever has that
fins.
Well, it has the fins, but that's not the issue. There more is the tip. That what do they call that? Chisel tip. That is probably your drag on the Sever, is my guess.
Well, there's a big old chisel tip on the freaking
on the Beast. There's not.
Yes, there is.
No, it's a little. It's a much more tapered head.
It's tapered, but it's like 9 cuts all the way around it.
Yeah, but I think that's probably where you're picking up. I mean, dude, you're talking at 150 yards. Like we're talking about.
I'm hard to please.
Minutia at this point. That's what.
That's when you see what's really happening. Right?
Yeah.
Is once you get out so far that everything's bled off of it, you're going to see what's really going on, and you'll really see them separate a lot.
Yeah.
I've had ones that you lose up to 20 yards at that distance.
20 yards?
Yes. Well, the average from like a field point to a broadhead at 150 is 12.
I believe 12. 20 though?
I've had ones take 20, yes.
Holy crap.
Which means it's got a lot of drag.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's an ass ton of drag. Or what's the word? Lift is actually the right word. It's not drag. It's lift.
That's so stupid because lift implies up.
I know.
I know. That's
like, Daryl, this is the dumbest name I've ever fucking heard. That does not mean that. Like, no one logically would mean that.
Lift means down.
No.
Lift for everyone else means up, or the greatest bow ever made, depending on who you are.
Ooh. Toughie.
If you made it this far, by the way, thank you for watching. You should like and subscribe. I'm still on the way. I still want to beat 10 to 50,000 subs, but I know I'm not going to. But you can help me right now.
If you post it a little more.
I know. Well, moving here is going to help me.
We got to make Brandon great again.
Make me great again. Make me great again. Well, I think that the benefit of you being here is going to be my curiosity for certain things will be renewed.
Sure.
But then also just bouncing stuff off of you and being like, what are you seeing right now? That like, what's going on? And that may
trigger some excitement.
That may trigger
for you.
Some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully your wife doesn't get really mad at you.
Oh, she's gonna get really mad at me.
Yeah, she's mad at you right now.
Like, I love you. Speaking of that, why don't we go ahead and
we probably ought to stop.
I
don't know how long we've been talking, but we probably ought to stop because you're not even supposed to be here right now.
A little bit, just a little bit. It's fine. Don't worry about that. I'm going to Mexico on Monday, and it's Saturday night, and my wife was like, "Really? You're gonna go hang out with Josh?" And I was like, "He's beautiful." And You have a lot of catching up to do.
Don't make her jealous.
I'm just kidding. If you see my wife, she's absolutely stunning.
She's a very, very pretty lady.
Josh is a hideous toad.
Wow.
Ouch. All right. You have anything else that you want to say before we wrap her up?
Come down and check out the shop because it will be open. We're going to be Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 6 Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4 Saturday. It's going to be the...
Did you launch the website already?
Yeah, it's up.
It's up.
It's up. There's not stuff for sale, but it announces the shop and those sort of things. And
so,
as it starts to roll beyond that, we'll do that.
Give people the name of the archery.
NashvilleNorthArchery.com is the website.
NashvilleNorthArchery.com.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to put that like throughout the entire video. Like I'll just have it like down at the bottom so that people can go check it out. And then they'll know the address.
Yep.
And then they'll drive up here and they'll be very confused by the big white building.
Yeah, we're behind a gas station. That doesn't sound great, but...
No, when you see it, it's fine.
You see it, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's the Just Love Coffee gas station. Pull back behind the Just Love Coffee.
Yeah. Because we do love coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And if the parking's full, you can park at the shoe show.
Or the Walmart. Right across the street.
Oh, Josh is in the ghetto.
I'm not in the ghetto.
I'm just kidding.
This is a great little spot.
This is an amazing
It's an
spot.
awesome little spot.
This was the place that when we looked at a ton of places, and this was the place that it would just, you could feel the magic when you walked in.
Yeah, I walked in the door and was like, oh, bingo. Shit.
Here we go.
This will work.
There's a buffet.
This will really work.
We're in.
We're going to serve food.
And they've already got the menu on the board for you. You just have to figure out how to make cheese grits.
It's too bad you have to run out of here. I'd let you take a hammer to this stupid little thing.
It would be a blast.
Yeah, I've got it right there. You can smack it once before you go.
He's talking about the tile.
This glorious thing
$10
right here.
a square foot tile that they got from Home Depot.
Yeah.
Threw it in there. Listen.
Very marbly.
2012 called.
It wants its tile back.
They want their tile back.
Well, that's probably when they put it up there.
Probably. Yeah. I'm not joking. I used to use stuff like that on backsplashes. Don't do it.
It's plexi.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Brandon McDonald.
We're going to get to work.
That's going to be the intro.
That's fine.